Hello. What is Mantle of the Expert? It's a way of working in teaching that was developed by Dorothy Heathcote. Now, it's not just a tool in the teacher's toolkit. It's a pedagogy. It's a system of teaching, a way of thinking about teaching and learning. I often say that if you take Dorothy's ideas on, it will change you as a teacher. It will change the way you think about teaching and learning. The key Mantle elements are a fictional team of some sort. You ask the children to agree to think of themselves as a team, which might be running a museum or a travel agency, and so on. There's a fictional client and there's a commission, a fictional commission. So, for example, you might be teaching about ancient Egypt. The children might be running a museum, and they're commissioned by the Egyptian government to create a special exhibition about Tutankhamun and the discovery of the tomb 100 years ago. So Mantle of the Expert is seen as a way of teaching across the curriculum and meeting teaching aims. As far as the students are concerned, they are running a museum, but the teacher has his or her own teaching aims and devises the enterprise or team and the client and the commission to meet those teaching aims. A Mantle project might last for half a term, a whole year. It could also be quite short. There are schools where most of the teaching is actually done through Mantle of the Expert. For example, Woodrow First School in Redditch in the UK. So why did Dorothy develop Mantle of the Expert? One of her key aims was to get rid of what she called dummy runs in teaching. In effect, in schools, we tell children, one day you will need to know this. One day you will need these skills that we're teaching you. So it's a dummy run for the real thing later on in life. But in the real world, we don't learn like that. We learn things because we need them. We need them now. We need them for the job we're doing. So, for example, you might be working in a company. You need to learn a foreign language to deal with customers abroad. There's a need, and you learn it. In Mantle of the Expert, there's no pretense that what we're doing is real, that there's a real client or a real commission. At the same time, Dorothy recognized this paradox that even though it's fictional, and we all know it's fictional, it motivates people to learn things, to do things, even though it's not real. But as if it is real, it still has that motivating power. There's a shift that occurs in Mantle of the Expert in the way that teachers work in the classroom, but also in the expectations of the children. Mantle of the Expert gets away from teacher dependency. In the conventional classroom, there is a tendency towards teacher dependency. The children come in with an expectation that the teacher is going to teach. They sit back and effectively they say, go on then, teach me. And the teacher in the conventional classroom is the one who knows, who controls the communication that goes on. And the children do things for the teacher. Mantle of the Expert seeks to break from that teacher dependency. Knowledge in our education system is usually seen as something that needs to be assimilated by the child. Dorothy called this transmission teaching. I know, I tell you, you listen, you learn. That's the transmission model. The dominant paradigm in this transmission model is the child as empty vessel. Dorothy stated, the philosophical basis of schools is still in that area of teach children about things and treat them as vessels to be filled. And most courses for teachers, teacher training courses, are still about fill them up, in that the teaching methods fill people up, and some people get filled up to here, but they're never full. So when we're talking about drama in education, and indeed if we're talking about education, we have to decide, is this crucible or is it filling pots up? The alternative model for Dorothy was the crucible paradigm, where we are stirring our knowledge together. She said, now I am a crucible. I regard myself as one, and I believe children are crucibles. But this changes the world of the school. If tomorrow you walk in and say, from this moment it is crucibles and not jugs, you're changing the world. And you're going to be changing it every second you decide crucibles and not vessels. Dorothy wanted the classroom to be a form of laboratory in which we explain the world to each other, and drama became the way of making that change happen. She said, in the laboratory, we care about what we do. We get the information we require, and we share it all the time. That means we process it. We process it in talk, we process it in action, just like a laboratory outside the school works. So in the laboratory, instead of the transmission of knowledge, there's an emphasis on inquiry and exploration. As Dorothy said, you never give people the total information. That's as a teacher. You give people the keys that enable their imagination to be freed, their power to influence, to operate, their understanding to have to come to it, to make sense of it. In other words, you turn the classroom into a laboratory where you stir things round together. In Mantle, you have to decide it's crucibles and not jugs. The teacher is no longer the one who owns the knowledge, who has all the knowledge, because you want the children to be active in pursuit of knowledge. This fictional client becomes the external agent. The children are doing it for the client, not for the teacher or for their company. And they are learning things in a context. They're learning things for a reason, because they need to know this now to do this job. It demands a different kind of talk from the teacher, a shift from teacher talk to colleague talk. It's a change from what I want you to do now is, which is teacher talk, to what should we do about this, I wonder? The teacher has to talk more as a colleague, because no colleague talks to another colleague the way that teachers talk to children. At the same time, even as if you are talking as if you are a colleague in the same team as everyone else, there is part of you always, of course, that is thinking teacher. I'm going to show an example now of Dorothy working on a project where the children were in the role or frame of people who were foresters looking after a forest. She asked them at one point a question. Here's the clip.
In order to take it, we understand there's some sort of rule about if a tree is that big round in circumference, how do you work out the diameter? Does anybody know? circumference, the diameter will be a certain size. Nobody had a thought about it? Doesn't ring any bells? Okay.
So here, she's asking a question which is going into curriculum knowledge and curriculum skills, something that she knows needs to be understood. She needs to teach, but she's not doing it in a transmission way. She's not asking this question about the diameter and the circumference in a teacherly way. She's wording it differently. She's talking. It seems like she knows the answer, but she's not suggesting that she knows the answer. Rather, she's indicating that she doesn't. She's asking it more like a wondering question. Does anyone know about this? There's an implication that we need to find out. She may well not be expecting anyone at that moment to answer and say, yes, I know it. But she's planting this now because she knows they'll come back to it later. They will need to find this out. And she will find a way of approaching that, which retains this element of an inquiry mode. For example, it might be that a group of children goes away and finds out exactly how to do this task and then shares it, teaches it to everyone else, as might well happen in a team, in a company. So, as far as possible, you get away from teacher telling and you think all the time, crucibles and not jugs. When introduced to Dorothy's Mantle system, teachers sometimes object that they don't have the time in their schedules to do the kind of work that's required. They've got so much curriculum to cover. This is based in the model of the child as empty vessel. There's all this curriculum knowledge that they've got to be filled up with. And you, as a teacher, have to keep filling them up. You've only got so much time to do it. So much curriculum to cover. The problem is that in that way of working, the knowledge doesn't stay. It leaks out. You cover everything, but nothing sticks. Dorothy saw that it does not go into deep memory. She said, now school seems to be about, let's get as much information as we can. But people don't hold it. How much of the information you spent hours getting in school do you use? How much can you recall? When you teach in Mantle of the Expert, you become what Dorothy called an enabling teacher. In Mantle, you want them to find things out, use it, apply it, make the knowledge their own. And that is why it goes into deep memory, and they remember it, even years later. As an enabling teacher, you give people the keys that enable their imagination to be freed, their power to influence, to operate, their understanding to have to come to it, to make sense of it. And I think that's the only way you can learn, really, to make the knowledge your own.